सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
एक रात वाली मस्जिद, so called because it had once upon a time, a long time ago, been built during a single night, stood at the edge of Moradabad's Eidgah, and a small city had conjured itself out of nothingness that night. There were brightly lit stalls offering the tens of thousands of Eid congregants water and even pan, set up by various social organizations, the Congress and the Bharatiya Janata Party. There were posters for beedies and bright banners for shops selling sweets and toys. Then, in this communal Eden arrived the snake. As the namaz drew to a close, a rumor spread that a pig had entered the crowd. Elements of the congregants began tearing rocks off the wall of Ek Raat Wali Masjid to throw at police, and then surged towards pickets at Gul Shahid and the Baraf Khana. 84 people, 70 of them Muslim, died that Eid night of August the 13th, 1980. Additional District Magistrate D.P. Singh, who tried to restore order at the Eidgah, was beaten to death by the mob. 4 police constables, Dhirendra Singh, Haridat Pant, Magan Anand and Parsadi Lal, were murdered. 43 years on, the Uttar Pradesh government has finally released the findings of the Justice M.P. Saxena Committee of Inquiry. The judge cleared the police of using excessive force, saying that 55 of the lives lost and all 34 who died in the initial melee at the Eidgah were crushed in a stampede, not shot by the police. The riot itself, the judge concluded, was caused by rumours and inflammatory polemic used by leaders of the Muslim League and the fringe Khaksar organization. To some, the report is evidence that Muslims were responsible for the savage riot which ushered in the troubled decades leading up to 2002. But that isn't the story Justice Saxena's almost 500-page report actually tells. The report adds considerable detail to the body of historical work we have on the Moradabad riots and casts new light on the conditions in which communalism grows. Like many cities across India, Moradabad has a long history of communal violence. In 1840, the District Gazette recorded in 1911, 14 people were killed in a Hindu-Muslim clash. And that wasn't the end of it. There was Shia-Sunni violence in 1853. Ever since the mid-19th century, the Gazette says, Moradabad had seen the rise of, and I quote, propagandist work on similar lines vigorously pursued among both Hindus and Muslims on to those adopted by Christian missionaries. In other words, Hindus, Muslims, Christians all were competing to grow their communities and sharpen frontiers between them. Low-grade communal skirmishes broke out at regular intervals after independence. There were big riots in 1978 after Muslim leader Manzar Shafi protested the participation of 2 girls from his community in a beauty contest. 25 people were killed on that occasion. The reasons for these tensions were embedded in pre-independence politics. The city, historian Venkat Dhulipala has noted, saw intense competition between the Congress and Muslim League in the build-up to partition. In one 1937 by-election, Muslim League propagandists circulated cartoons of the Congress candidate, Maulvi Bashir Ahmad, portraying his bear being born for a Hindu cremation. The message was clear. A Muslim who joined the Congress was in fact an infidel. Even though the Congress had a significant hold among Moradabad's Muslims until 1937, it was routed in the critical election of 1946. League-linked Qazi Taslim Hussain working with the neo-fundamentalist Tablighi Jamaat, succeeded in organizing migrant workers from Bihar who were living in the Musafir Khana neighborhood into a powerful electoral bloc. For their part, Hindu revivalist organizations, spearheaded by the Arya Samaj and the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, also organized big conversion campaigns and mobilizations. They found support, scholars Satish Sabarwal and Mushirul Hasan write, from a new class of Hindu traders, merchants and professionals who resented Muslim dominance in the law courts and medicine. After the Kolkata communal massacres of 1946, the stage was set for slaughter across northern India, and Moradabad was no exception. From January 1948, carnage raged through the city for months. Elite Muslims left for Pakistan, leaving behind the poor who could not afford to travel to their fate. Following partition, large numbers of landlords who had left for Pakistan sold their property to the new elite that emerged in Moradabad. Large numbers of Punjabi Hindu entrepreneurs arrived to make their fortune in the city's brass industry. Among them, the family of Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi's husband Robert Vadra. Even though the city remained Muslim majority, the scholar Krishna Gandhi wrote soon after the riots, the names on homes in upper-class neighborhoods like Civil Lines, Adarsh Nagar and Koti Bal Nagar showed the changing milieu. After the anti-immigrant agitation in Assam, Justice Saxena records, and I quote, the Punjabi migrants began to fear that they might be similarly targeted by locals. To protect themselves against such a development, they started to sow the seeds of hatred in the minds of local Hindus against Muslims, the judge says. To make things worse, the judicial report says, the resentments of the growing Muslim workforce were allowed to fester. The brass industry had long relied on day labour from surrounding villages who would return home at night. Large numbers of Bihari Muslim migrant workers, however, arrived as the industry grew. Little effort was made to house and educate these workers, Justice Saxena says, creating backward communities very vulnerable to communal radicalization. In the course of a visit to Moradabad, historians Sabarwal and Hassan found Muslims largely chose not to attend secular state-run or private schools, sending their children to the city's 6 big madrasas instead. I quote, they are pathetically underrepresented in the degree colleges, the scholars noted. From 1975, moreover, large numbers of semi-skilled Muslim workers began to migrate to the Gulf. This, Justice Saxena says, led to what he calls an extremist fascist element among the ethnic Punjabi elite to spread rumours of a Middle East funded plot to carve a Muslim majority state out of Uttar Pradesh with its capital in Moradabad. Economic dysfunction, government apathy, poverty and paranoia thus laid the ground for an explosion. The sun began to set on the fragile peace in Moradabad 3 weeks before the riots, the Justice Saxena investigation tells us. For decades, the local administration had sounded a siren to mark the Sehri, when pious Muslims end their day-long fast during Ramzan. The timing of the siren clashed on July 24, 1980, with wedding celebrations at the home of a local Dalit, Santosh Saran Balmiki. The two sides exchanged abuse and then began throwing stones at each other. The Saxena report says that Bharatiya Janata Party leaders Hariom Sharma and Hansraj Chopra tried to cash in on Dalit anger over the next several days, leading to another clash outside a mosque in Sarai Kishanlal. Tensions between Dalits and Muslims flared. In his report, Justice Saxena is sharply critical of the police's failure to act against those creating these tensions. Exactly what happened on the night of Eid remains contested. The journalist M.J. Akbar, later minister, who reported on the violence in the Moradabad, said Muslims believed the police had deliberately let a pig loose in the congregation. Akbar recorded several eyewitnesses telling him they had asked the police to shoo away the pig. The police, however, refused, saying it was not their job. From the account of eyewitnesses Justice Saxena examined, though, the judge concluded there was no pig. Local Muslim leader Shamim Ahmad, he said, spread rumours about this issue, hoping to stoke Muslim anger. He had motives. In assembly elections held in May, Ahmad had suffered a humiliating defeat against Congress leader Hafiz Ahmad Siddiqui and had since been working to sharpen communal sentiments. Local volunteers of the Khaksara-e-Haq, an anti-Pakistan group whose members carry a belcha or spade, were among the first to join in the violence. The slaughter raged on for weeks, fueled by inflammatory rumours. A Muslim politician was said to be distributing arms, a Hindu girl was claimed to have been kidnapped. Even stories were spread that police and border security force personnel were slaughtered. Although the Saxena inquiry only examined the events of Eid night itself, government statistics published by police officer V.N. Rai show fatalities more than doubled as communal attacks and counter-attacks continued into September, claiming the lives of 142 Muslims and 18 Hindus. Even though too many years have elapsed to punish the perpetrators of 1980 and authorities who turned a blind eye to the build-up, it's not too late to learn lessons. Failure to address economic resentments and backwardness, communally biased administration, and toxic politics all collaborated to almost bring down an economically vibrant city. The truth-telling in the Saxena findings is just as painful today as 43 years ago. But listening to what the judge had to say could just prove to be the beginning of some healing. I'm Praveen Swami and I'm National Security Editor of ThePrint. Thank you for listening to Security Code.